Hello. Today we're looking at the parable of the Prodigal Son, found in Luke chapter 15, one of the 15 parables of Luke that aren't found in the other Gospels. And this video goes along with a video on the parable of the lost sheep and the lost coin. And also there's a little group of three. The third video is about the Good Samaritan, another parable of Luke, found in Luke chapter 10. So, today let's have a look at the parable of the Prodigal Son. Again, we'll look at it in the Greek New Testament. Parable of the Prodigal Son, Luke chapter 15, verses 11 to 32. And here we have a painting by the painter Pompeo Battoni. As always in these videos, which are roughly intermediate level Greek, we do 4 passes through the Greek text. And the first one, we do a word-by-word translation underneath. Epende anthropostis, he said then, man one, in English we'd say a certain man, echen duo huios, had 2 sons. Kai epen ha neoteros, the younger auton of them, to patri, to the father, pater. Notice the different forms of the word pater and patri, to the father. Dos moi to epibalon meros tes usias. Give me the due portion of the assets, the belongings. De dielen autois ton bion. He then divided to them, to his 2 sons, the possessions, usias and bion. Same meaning, just a different word. Kai met upalas hemeras, and after not many days, sunagagon, gathering everything, the younger son went off, apidemesen es choran makran, to a distant country, and there wasted the assets, living recklessly. So this word asotos is translated prodigally, I think, in some of the older translations. So that's why we call him the prodigal son. It really means the spendthrift. In English we'd say a spendthrift, person who just spends all his money, or wastefully or recklessly. So in the old English word, prodigally. So we call him the prodigal son, the traditional name of this parable, but it might be better actually to call it the lost son, the same as earlier in the chapter we had the lost sheep and the lost coin. Here is the lost son. Verse 14, having spent then he everything. Then having spent everything, there was limos, a famine, iskura, a strong famine. Kata, perhaps meaning throughout the country that. Kai autos erxato husterestai, he began to lack, to feel the pinch. Kai poriutes ekolethe, and going he joined. So we say he went and joined up, or enlisted, if you like, or took on a job with one of the citizens of that country. Kai epempsen, and he, the citizen, sent him eis tus agrus, to the fields, to his fields, boskein churus, to feed pigs. Not a very happy job for a Jew. Kai epithume chortasthena ekton keration, he wanted to eat from the pods of which they were eating, the pigs. Kai udes edidu autu, no one gave him So again, the pronoun isn't supplied here in Greek. We have to supply it in English, and probably the best pronoun here would be no one gave him anything. No one gave him anything to eat. Es houton der Elthon, to himself then coming, he said. So how might we say this in English? Taking stock of himself, what's another way to say it in English? Coming to his senses is probably the way I would say it in my dialect of English. Coming to his senses, he said, Pasoi, how many mistioi, hired workers of my father, have plenty of bread? Ego der I, but here it's probably best to translate this der by but or though. While, in fact, in English we say, while I am dying here with famine. Anastas poriusamai. Arising, I will go to my father, and I will say to him, I will leave, in fact, is what we'd say in English. I'll leave, go back to my father, and say to him, Father, I have sinned to the heaven. I've sinned against heaven and against you, we'd probably say in English. Kai Anastas, and arising, he went to the father, his own. We'd probably just say his father, to his father. Etide autu makran epechontes, still he, being far away. De, all the time I just translate it by then, but often in English we wouldn't translate it, or else we translate it by other words. Perhaps here, but while he was still a fair way away, Eden auton on hopater autu, his father saw him and felt sorry for him. And felt sorry, it doesn't say for him, but again we'd have to supply that in English, felt sorry for him. Kaidramon, and running, fell upon his neck and kissed him. So we'd say he ran and threw his arms around him. That's the way we'd say this in English. He ran up and threw his arms around him and kissed him. Flung his arms around him and kissed him, I've written there. Epen de hohuios autu, said then the son to him, Pater, hemarton eston uranon kai enopion su. I have sinned, so against heaven and against you. Uketi no longer emi, I am axios, worthy, klethenai, to be called son your. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. And here the de is probably but. His father said to his servants, Tachu, quickly, exenenkate, bring out stolen the robe, the best robe, and indusate auton, put it on him. Kaidote dactylion, ring, the ring on his hand, on his finger we'd say, and sandals on his feet. Kai ferete, and bring ton moskon ton stituton, the fattened calf. Kill it, we'd have to say, and eating, let us rejoice. So we'd say, and let's eat it and rejoice, because this the son my was dead and is alive again. He was lost and he is found. And they began to rejoice. Ende hohuios autu ha presbyteros in agro. Was then the son his the older in the field, out in the fields. And as coming, he came near to the house, and when he returned, we'd say, and got near to the house, he heard music and dancing, and proskalisamenos, and summoning. So we'd have to say, he summoned one of the servants, he asked what what this could be, what this might be. So the "an" I have no translation for here. Often working with "t", we would translate it in English as whatever, but not here. It's really, we just leave it untranslated here. And asked him what was going on. That's what we'd say. What was going on? What's going on? Ha de epen auto, so again, this, as I've explained in other videos, this ha is the masculine singular form of the word for "the." In English we just have "the" as one word, but in Greek the word "the" takes lots of different forms. So one advantage of that is that all you need to do is to put the masculine singular form of the word "the", and you don't need anything else, because you know it's talking about one male person. So in English we would say he. He, the servant, then said to him, the older brother, "Ha adelphos su heke," your brother, the brother your, so you would say your brother has come back, we'd have to say, and killed the father your, the calf, the fatted. Your father has killed the fatted calf because, well, he has got him back well. He's alive and well, we'd probably say, because he's got him back alive and well. And what was the older son's reaction? Orgiste, he got angry and not wanted to come in. And again, here is just masculine singular, so he, or in this case the noun is he, so we just say his father came out. He didn't want to go in, so his father came out, called to him. This is now again is the older brother, then answering, said to his father, "Behold, so many years I serve you, and ude pote never entelen su I have broken." And kai, probably better here to translate as but for me, to me, or for me, you never gave a kid to me, so that with my friends I might rejoice. Hoti de hahuios uhutos, when the son your this, the one who has been eating up your assets with prostitutes, came, you killed for him the fatted calf. The father then said to him, it seems on the surface of it, doesn't it, that the older son has a case. He has a case. But the father said to him, "Son," and this is a more affectionate term than huios that we've seen up here, teknon. So the father addresses him affectionately, "Su pantote met emu a," you always with me are, you're always with me, and everything, the mine is yours, everything that is mine is yours. You franthenai de kai karenai ede, to rejoice, and again probably better to translate here, but to rejoice and be glad is necessary, because the brother your your brother was dead, and he has come back to life. He was lost, and he is found. So that was the father's reply. Now we go through the Greek text again from the beginning, noting some grammatical issues. Again, not everything, but just a few selected ones that are of interest in the passage. And we've got here, notice the chiastic order. So chiastic is kind of an inverted order, as we see here. Man 1 had 2 sons. You don't say one man had 2 sons, but you say man 1 had 2 sons. That's called a chiastic order. Anthropos tis eken duo huios. This upolas, that's technically called laitotes, and it's frequent in Luke. Instead of saying a few days, they say it with a negative, after not many days. And we'll also notice the R at the end of meta drops off when the next word begins with a vowel, met upolas. And here we have meta in the meaning of after. Before, or in other places, we've had it meaning with. Dapane santos de autu panta. So this phrase is in the genitive. Here's one genitive ending, and here's a different form of the masculine singular genitive ending. So that's used when this person that's being referred to here is not referred to again in the rest of the sentence, but it's something put at the beginning of the sentence to set the scene for the rest of the sentence. So it's put into the genitive. That's called the genitive absolute, in some ways kind of standing out from the rest of the sentence, and it's setting the scene. Next point to make, coming down to verse 16, hon, the genitive plural of the relative pronoun, so of which they ate. Notice here's the genitive plural ending here on these two words, so it's a genitive plural ending, but when used just by itself here, it's a genitive plural of the relative pronoun, the pods of which the pigs ate. Anastas poriusamai, this is a Hebrew Aramaic way of saying it. Arising, I will go. So I will get up and go, we might say. But probably in normal English we wouldn't say this at all. We would just say, I'll go back to my father, and I'll say to him. Coming down to verse 20, we look at how to. So this is the special form of the pronoun. So it could mean himself or his own. His own. So if we translate it that way, we would say, I will. He got up and went to his own father. But we'd probably just translate his father. And we see in the next sentence, it just says hapater autou. So in Greek, there's obviously not a strong difference between these two pronouns, as there is in English. So in English, we would just translate them both by saying his father. Kate philesen, so this is the root form of it is here, and so it's got the kata prefix here used to intensify the meaning. That's why some people have suggested we could translate it as kissed him tenderly, but sometimes the special meaning of these things is kind of lost in overuse. That's why most translations just say he kissed him. But possibly it'd be good to translate it kissed him tenderly. And so this leads us to a little question here. Would this parable be better called the running father? And I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. So now the boy, feeling that it's perhaps a little bit awkward, comes out with his prepared speech. But we'll go down to verse 23, and I've underlined the different endings of the imperative. That's the imperative, second person imperative plural, you do it. And so there we see three different endings that it can take with different words. And euphrantomen is a subjunctive. We'll talk more about that shortly. here we could translate it as let us rejoice, let's rejoice. Next comment coming down to here, anadzau, come to life again. So this ana part means again, and zau, come to life. So in verse 12 we had neoteros, and here we have presbyteros. And so they both have the teros ending. And this makes what's called the comparative, which corresponds to the English ending er, as in bigger, faster. The corresponding Greek ending is teros. Also, just out of interest, in Luke 1:3 we have kratistos, most powerful. And this corresponds to, in fact it's related to the English ending est, the best, the strongest, the fattest, the tallest. But in where it's used in Luke 1:3, it doesn't mean the powerfulest. Well, yeah, I suppose it does. The most powerful, the most excellent, Theophilos. It's really just saying kind words to Theophilos. But yeah, that's what the basic meaning of it is. But this ending isn't so common. This one is fairly commonly found. When I was reading through Luke's Gospel, I found it quite frequently. Coming down to verse 26, commenting on this word a, and this is a subjunctive. This is a subjunctive form of the word is or be in Greek, and in English we use the form be for the subjunctive. Subjunctive is falling out of use in English now. It's still used a bit. So if we're going to translate it strictly by the English subjunctive, we would say, what might this be? He asked, what might this be? Instead of saying, what is this? He asked, what might this be? So the subjunctive often goes with this an. This little small word here is often followed by the subjunctive. So I suppose it's because of the uncertainty about what's happening. So he said, what on earth is this? What's going on? Okay, here we have Hoti introducing direct speech. And here's Hoti again, this time meaning because. Because he got him back alive and well. Here in this verse we just notice the two different prefixes going with elthein, to come, es elthein, to come in, and ex elthein, to come or go out. And here is this same word, a slightly different form of it. The first approximation meaning of it again is come or go. So this time with the prefix is par, short for oops, short for para. So the A has dropped off. So it's meaning gone beyond. So that's like transgressed. That's actually what transgressed means. It comes from Latin, trans, beyond, and gress, to go. So you go beyond. You've transgressed. You've well, in that case, yes, he's sinned against your command, transgressed your command. Next point to comment on is euphranto. Now this is a subjunctive following hina, in order that. So in English we could translate it, in order that, or so that I might rejoice, so that I could rejoice. Notice when we use the might in English, in modern English, it really only has the one meaning. like I might rejoice or I might not. That's the usual meaning that it has in modern English. But in older, more formal English, it was the subjunctive in English, so that I might rejoice. So we could translate it as so that I could rejoice. So don't be fooled by this when it says in the older and more formal translations, so that I might rejoice. It's not meaning I might rejoice or I might not rejoice, but it's the subjunctive. And so it better translated in normal modern English, so that I could rejoice, with my friends. So now a little grammatical aside, and we'll talk about the moods. These are the moods that we find in Greek: the indicative, I rejoice; the imperative, rejoice, the command; the infinitive, to rejoice; the participle, rejoicing; and the subjunctive, might, could rejoice. So, euphranto, this is a subjunctive mood, aorist tense, passive voice, first person singular. So this is how grammatically we describe a verb. We have to specify the mood, choose one of these moods. In this case, it's the subjunctive. The tense is aorist. The voice is passive, or could be active or passive voice. Greek also has a middle between the active and the passive. First person and singular. Notice also another grammatical point, the different forms of the verb give here. Edokas from verse 29, that's indicative, perfect, active, second person singular. Dos, verse 12, that's imperative, aorist, active, second person singular. Edidu, verse 16, that's indicative, imperfect, active, third person singular. And dote, verse 22, imperative, aorist, active, second person plural. This was imperative, aorist, active, second person singular. This is imperative, aorist, active, second person plural. Emma and sa. So this is neuter plural. So being neuter, it means my things. Ta Emma, the my things, sa, your things, you singular, your things. And here's another grammatical note. We're going a bit heavy on the grammar in this video. We're just looking at this verb, which is an important verb in this section. And here's the base form of it: apolumi, I lose or I kill. It in English, we have to say it. So this is the base form, if you like, I first person singular, present. So here's the form of it we had in verse 6, which is a participle, perfect, active, accusative, neuter, singular, talking about the lost sheep. Then in verse 9 we have had apolesa, which is indicative, active, aorist verb, first singular, I lost it. Apolumai, verse 17, indicative, middle, present, singular, I am dying. That's what the young man said, I am dying here. So here the word takes a different meaning, dying. In the other places it takes the meaning lost, but here it takes its other meaning, dying. Apollolos, verse 24, participle present active, nominative masculine singular. He was lost, the son. And again it's repeated in verse 32. He was lost. Okay, now our third pass through, and we look at some English words related to these Greek words. Duo, and two. I talked about these words, I think, in the parable of the Good Samaritan. Pater, and from this we get two words. Paternal, which is borrowed straight from Greek and Latin. That's why it appears in the same form. But father is again a cousin word to pater. So this word comes by just directly borrowing the Greek word, and this word resembles it. And you can see, if you look at the fact that these two letters, the P and the F, are made in the same place in your mouth, and the T and the TH. So again, at first sight, you may think that these two words are not related, but they are actually cousins, and they are just related. Bion, biology, polas, polygon, having many corners. Neo, as in neonatal, newborn. Macran, from this we get macro, and the opposite is micro. So macro, something big, and micro, referring to something small. Diascorpicen, so the root form of this is dia. Going through Latin, it changed to dis, but you can still see the di is there. So that's related to that. Agrus, agoraphobia, fear of the open place. And now here's an interesting one. Perishing, Apollumai, Apollyon, the angel of the abyss, whose name in Hebrew is Abaddon, so that's the Hebrew word, and in Greek is Apollyon. So there it is. And again, notice how the Y takes the place of the U in Greek. That is destroyer, and that's how Revelation 9:11 is translated in the NIV. Poreusamai, porous, something goes through, something is porous. Uranon, Uranus, a new planet in the heavens. Trachelon, we get trachea, in your throat. Endusate, endue, to clothe, endue you with power, clothe you with power. Podas, tetrapod, is something that has 4 legs, 4 feet. Ferete, from this we get Christopher, somebody who, according to the story, carried Christ across a river or something, I forget the story. Phagontes, sarcophagos, so this is made up of 2 Greek parts, sarkos meaning flesh, phagos, so a sarcophagos is something that eats the flesh of the dead person. Euphronomen, you meaning good or well, and we have words like euphoria. Necros, necromancy, calling up the dead. Symphonias, symphony, and again notice the U becomes a Y. Hugianonta, and from this we get hygiene, the word hygiene. So it's changed its meaning slightly in English. This means well or healthy, and it changes its meaning when it's borrowed in English as hygiene. Coming down here, pornon, prostitutes, so we get pornography, prostitute writing. Pantote, all the time. Pantote is all the time, and from this we get words like pandemic, a disease that goes to all places. So let's go again, and we'll read it and make some more comments, starting from the beginning again. Epende anthropos tis echen duo huius, kai epen ha neoteros auton to patri, pater dosmoi ta epipalon meros tes usias, haude dielen autois ton bion. Kai met upalas hemeras sunagagon panta, ha neoteros huios, apidemesen es choran macran, kai eke diascorpisen ten usian autu zon asotos. Let's comment here. What was the worst thing the prodigal son did? To anyone from a traditional rural society, it was leaving his father and his family. To modern Westerners, it was wasting the family money. Leaving the family was fine. In fact, I found a commentator who said the older brother should have gone too to learn a bit of independence. Very much a Western value, independence. Tapane Santos de autu panta egeneto limos ischura kateten chorane kenen kai autos erexato husterestain. Kai poriuthes ecolethe heniton politon tes choras ekenes. Kai epempsen auton estus agrus autu bosken choirus. Kai epithume chortastenai ekton keration hon estion hoi choroi. Kai udes edidu autu. Es auton de elson efe posoi mistioi tu patros mu eperis iuantai arton. Ego de limo ho de apollumain. Anastas poriusa mai proston pater mu kai ero auto pater hemarton eston uranon kai enopion su. Uceti emi axios clethenai huios su. Pueson me hos henaton mistion su. Kai anastas elthen proston patera heautu. Etide autu macran apechontos, eiden auton ho pater autu, kai esplachniste, kai dramon epepesen epit ton trachelon autu, kai catefilesen auton. Comment here, this has been known traditionally as the parable of the prodigal son, but as some have pointed out, it would better be called the parable of the running father. In a traditional culture like this, an elder would never run. It would be beneath his dignity. So the parable shows God's uncontainable eagerness to get his lost children back, and it was an answer to Jesus' opponents as to why he was spending time with sinners, so-called sinners, and outcasts. The Pharisees, while starting from a correct concern for holiness, had become too diligent at excluding people, too good at excluding people. God just wanted them back. Epende huios autu pater hemarton eston uranon kai enopion su. Uceti emi axios clethenai huios su. Epende ho pater prostus dulus autu tachu exenencate stolen ten protein kai indusate auton kai dote dactylion esten chera autu kai hupodemata estus podas. Just commented here, the ring is a symbol of authority, and slaves didn't wear shoes. Another interesting comment, years ago when I was working with local translators in Vanuatu, they used to write out first draft translations in school exercise books. When reading the draft translation of this parable that one of them had made, I was puzzled that it said, they put on a dil, the European word for rope, around the sun. I checked my Greek New Testament, but I couldn't find a clue as to where they'd got this word rope from. Then I read the Good News Bible that they had been working from, and I saw it. It was a robe. This is why everyone needs the Bible in their own language. Even when you learn another language, there are always subtle points that trip you up. Carrying on with the reading, kai ferete ton moschon ton stituton, thusate kai fagontes, euphrantomen, hoti hutos, huios su necros en kai anedzesen, en apollolos kai hurethe, kai exanto euphrenestai. Ende huios autu presbuteros in agro, kai hos erchomenos engisen te oikia, ekusen symphonias kai choron, kai pros kalesamenos henaton paidon epun saneto tiane tauta. Hode epen auto hoti ho delphos su heke kai ethusen ho pater su ton moschon ton situton. Hoti hugiainon to auton apelaben. Orgiste de kai uk ethelen eselten. Hode pater autu exelson parecale auton. Hode apokrites epen to patri autu edu. Tous aute ete duliuos soi, kai ude pote entelen su parilson, kai emoi ude pote edocas erifon hina metaton philon mu eufrantho. Hote de ho huios su hutos, ho cataphagon su ton pion meta pornon elten, ethusas autu ton situton moschon. Hode epen auto teknon, su pantote met emu kai panta ta emma sa estin. Eufranthenae de, kai charenae ede, hoti ho adelphos su hutos, necros en kai ejesen, kai apollolos kai hurethe. Notice here how the older brother says, your son. He doesn't say my brother, he says your son. But the father says, your brother. The father calls him your brother. Plummer says in his ICC commentary, not the least skillful touch in this exquisite parable is that it ends here. We are not told whether the elder brother at last went in and rejoiced with the rest, and we are not told how the younger one behaved afterwards. Both these events are still in the future, and both agents were left free. One purpose of the parable was to induce the Pharisees to come in and claim their share of the Father's affection and of the heavenly joy. Another was to prove to the outcasts and sinners with what generous love they have been welcomed.